Okay, good morning, everybody. Let's go ahead and get started. Let me know if you guys can hear my audio and see my screen in the chat box. Just give me a little Y or a yes there, just to let me know that it is working. Hope everybody's having a fantastic morning. Hopefully your weekend was awesome. I'm excited to trade today. We've actually got some setups we need to jump into, so I'm going to go ahead and get right into that. But before that, as always, I need to remind you guys about the risks involved in this market. You can lose all or more than your initial investment if you're not careful. So please be aware of how many pips you're risking on each trade, in addition to how big your lot size is and ultimately how that would affect your account if you were to lose money. Okay, guys, so the couple of trades I'm looking at, obviously Euro Pound, Euro Franc, and Pound Franc are our three favorites. Trying to load these up here on TradingView to kind of get a broader perspective of what's going on, but we are hitting, if you notice here, a lower Bollinger Band on the Euro Pound. We're hitting a lower Bollinger Band on the Euro Franc. That one actually looks really good. That might be really good, actually. 1 second. Let's see here. Euro Franc. Yeah. That might be the best one to go with, actually. Versus. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a long on the Euro Franc. I'm going to go ahead and get my starter position built up. So you typically take about 10 separate trades. So if I have a total of, I don't know, a full contract that I'm willing to trade for the banker's close, or if I have 5 contracts or 10, whatever it is, I'll typically go about like 10, I'll divide that into 10 trades so that I can have that flexibility. But anyway, let me look at a couple of things here, guys. So this Euro Pound took a nice little snap to the downside here. These are a bunch of institutional order blocks down here. That's why we've seen a little bit of a rejection. But then, by the way, this 5-minute chart, for those that are wondering, there is a little bit more room for this to potentially go a little lower before it comes up again. But what I like about the Euro Franc, okay, yeah, so a lot of stuff to break down actually right here. Yeah, this is definitely a trade I want to be in. Okay, yeah, long Euro Franc is definitely the trade I want to be in right now. So let's talk about why. So a couple of things. But first of all, let me actually move these. I guess from a traditional standpoint, let's put it this way. From a traditional standpoint, from just the banker's close in a nutshell, whenever you're hitting a lower Bollinger Band, and actually let me do this on just a single chart workspace so you guys can see this better. So we're in the banker's close hour, right? We're in that last hour of trading before the London banks close for the day. New York is going to still be open for many hours beyond this, but New York is actually starting to head to lunch here in the next hour. Actually, lunchtime has just started. We're at the early hour of lunch, and then that's going to kind of continue. So that kind of helps as well with slowing this down. But is in terms of London, they are actually closing this in this hour. So obviously that's to our advantage here. Let me pull up the Euro Franc on the, like I said, on a lower time frame. Okay, so here's what I'm really interested in. So we talk about building a fortress, right? Who has the fortress right now? Do the sellers have it, or do the buyers have it? In my opinion, the buyers have the fortress because they've built up this accumulation, right? So we had lower lows and lower highs, but then it kind of flipped, right? We started getting higher lows right here and right here, and we started to get higher highs, right? So this high breached this high, and these highs back here, this high is higher than the previous high. Didn't quite beat this one, but that's okay. It doesn't necessarily need to. That's also kind of older in the scheme of the position that we're in. And then you've got this nice accumulation right here, right? And you could basically encapsulate this whole area. That's an order block, right? So whatever traders whatever they were able to do right here, whatever the banks did right here is what enabled them to break this old structure. right? So we got a nice resistance level right here. So whatever happened here is what caused that. So we know there's accumulation here. We know there's positions built up in this area. And that's why for me, I feel good about being a buyer here, especially if it pulls back even more because you've just got even more accumulation, right? The fortress that the buyers have built is much stronger than what the sellers have built up. The sellers really don't have much, to be honest. The only thing that the sellers have, I guess, if you want to make an argument for the sellers, would be when this market did come up, it did pull back very quickly, right? Like they did make a pretty strong rejection up there. And so that is to the seller's credit, right? But keep in mind, the sellers at the same time haven't been able to penetrate this fortress that the buyers have built over here, which is why, again, you're at the end of the day, you're at the banker's close hour, you're coming into demand on the 5-minute chart. This is actually about as clean as it looks. This is actually a very clean trade setup in terms of the banker's close. And then again, if you want to take just the traditional setup, right, a 20 period, 2 standard deviation Bollinger Band, and you come over here, did we break the lower Bollinger Band? Yeah, we did. You know, we punctured through it right there, you know, right at the beginning of the hour. And so, you know, yeah, it does make sense to be a buyer on this right now. I'm just trying to see if there's anything else that would be a good trade. Technically, the pound franc long would be good, except it just doesn't have the traditional setup in the way that you'd like to see it. I'd be a little bit nervous to go short on this one right now. Again, for the same purpose of the Euro franc, who's got the fortress? Who's built up the rights to send the market any way they want? And from the looks of it, it's mostly buyers, right? You can kind of see the accumulation down here, the accumulation down here, right? They've really built in quite the buying pressure. So if I want to take a particular direction, which direction would I feel more comfortable with? Probably the long side. I mean, obviously, if it started breaking up and making new highs and hit some kind of supply zone up here, you know, maybe that would merit a good short position, but we just don't have that right now. So that's why I've taken the position that I have. Yeah, so I'm feeling pretty good about it. Let's see, I wanted to see, one second, I'm just looking at some of my other stuff here, over here. Yeah, the Euro franc is probably a good position to go with. Yeah. And then if you go to the higher time frame, so that's just a 5-minute chart, right? But if you head out to the even higher time frame, yeah, we are definitely in an uptrend. Obviously, this market pulled back about a week ago and hit this accumulation right here and immediately just got rejected off of that accumulation, right? And that's kind of what we're trying to do just on a shorter term time frame. This exact concept, we're trying to pull in, we're pulling into accumulation, the buyer's fortress here. And so obviously we're looking for a bounce off of that type of thing, right? We're always trying to give ourselves a little bit more of an advantage in this market, right? Okay, so let's see here. And then, yeah, so we have this, and then what else do we have here? I wouldn't feel confident, let's put it this way. I wouldn't feel confident holding this Euro franc long position, through say this evening or tomorrow or in a couple of days. I don't really know. All I know is that we have a short-term setup for what we're looking for. So overall, maybe this market comes back, maybe overall it does, pull back, but in terms of what we are looking for, this has exactly what we want. Definitely. I feel pretty good about this. So again, for those of you that are logging in, we took a long position. We just recently got into it long on the Euro franc. That's the position that we're in today. And just a small recap on the shorter time frame. We are pulling back into this accumulation right here. So right at the banker's close hour, we hit it. This is really actually pretty good. We hit a lower Bollinger Band on a 5-minute. and then we came right into a demand zone, which, by the way, is the same demand zone which created the break of structure, which are the best kinds of demand, supply and demand, right? Because there's tons of different supply and demand zones that you can trade. They're everywhere. Everything's supply and demand, right? But the best ones you can potentially trade are the ones that actually created the breakout, which is this right here, this area. That created the breakout of this old resistance that was respected for quite some time on the 5-minute chart, and then obviously broke out. So when you're a trader, you're always trying to figure out which direction do you have a bias to, which direction do you prefer to trade? Do you prefer to go long, or do you prefer to go short? And for me, that often comes down to, well, what was the most recent break of structure? Was it to the long side, or was it to the short side? And I think it's pretty obvious to most here that the most recent break, or more obvious break of structure, would be this right here. And which side of the market did it go to do that? Oh, it went to the long side, right? Obviously a breakout to the upside. And so when you see this phenomenon, this is what leads you to believe, oh, okay, today on this pair, on this 5-minute chart, I need to be thinking, look for long positions, okay? Where can I get the most optimal place to buy this market? Okay, speaking of other optimal places, actually, because obviously it's doing okay. Like, we're just getting started. We're slightly profitable right now on this trade. Hopefully this market just goes back up and retests this area. I think I probably will close quite a few trades kind of in this area. My biggest fear, and you guys can see what I'm talking about. My biggest fear is that this turns into a head and shoulders, right? So if this turns into a head and shoulders here on the 5-minute chart, shoulder, head, and if that turns into a shoulder, we're going to want to take our profits and go, right? So for the moment, I feel pretty good. Like, make that clear right now. For the moment, I feel pretty good about this trade. But yeah, if we get kind of into this area right here, yeah, we're gonna want to take a lot of our profits today. So you'll make 10 pips per trade, which is great. It's a good trading day. We'll make about 100 pips or so on this. It's a good day, right? We're already up 20, 25 pips at the moment. So with that in mind, let me go ahead and bring some of these targets in to something more realistic, right? I just have my targets set at a default target, and so I need to kind of adjust these once I'm in the position. And I'm just going to kind of pepper the market with these trades, just kind of put them in this area where I believe the market will come to, and maybe find some resistance against what I'm doing here. Great, now we're up almost 40 pips, which is awesome. Yeah, this is kind of the area where I'm feeling good. And yeah, it's not all in the same spot. Again, you don't know exactly how far this is going to go. So I kind of like to, scatter some of these targets. But that's pretty much what we can expect it at the very least. Could it go more than that? Yeah, in fact, maybe I'll even bring one of these targets out just for fun, because yeah, it's possible we get out to there. And now we just have to be patient, right? Because it's not going to happen all at once. Yeah, it takes time for the market to go where we think it's going to go. Oh, which, by the way, that's the other thought I had. I didn't finish it. So could this thing go back down? Yeah, I mentioned this. Like, it may not even get to the target. However, again, the reason why we take the positions we take is because one, we think the market will go where we think it's going to go and be profitable. But two, the other reason why I take these trades, and specifically this trade versus the short side, is because on the long side here, there's tons of places where I can feel confidence in taking the trade and feeling like I can actually get out for profit. Or like I can fix the trade. So I guess that's what I was trying to say. So, this is kind of a order block right here. Obviously, the market in the last 10 or 15 minutes pulled into that order block right there, and obviously it's working out, and that's what we're playing off of right now is that order block. If the market were to come down a little bit further, where's kind of our next area where we'd find some comfort? Honestly, I think really throughout this you'd find some comfort, but real comfort, I would feel pretty good about this kind of area right here. Yeah, kind of this right here would be a great area to buy. So yeah, if this market does pull back that far, these would be kind of the areas where I'd be willing to add more to the trade. So I'd add more in here, and I'd probably add quite a bit in this area. Is it going to come down to there? No, not as like, I mean, could it? Yes. But is it likely to come all the way down into there? I don't think so. I think it would have to go up first, and we'd probably hit our targets before that would happen. I mean, we're already halfway to our targets, so I mean, it's already good so far. But when you look at all this back here, what the buyers have built up, look what they've built. This is a reverse head and shoulders, right? This is a higher low than this low down here. This is a higher low than this low. Oh wow, here we go. Here we go, guys. Let's see if this closes out any trades here. I gotta zoom in. I like to watch it hit my take profits because I'm weird that way. No, I just like to watch. I mean, that's not weird, right? Everyone wants to see their take profits hit. But yeah, again, where do you feel the confidence? Where do you, if I take a trade and the trade were to go against me, who's going to help me? Well, everyone that built this, right? Everyone that built all this up is going to help me out. So, and that's not even accounting for the fact that this is just a traditional setup from just the traditional, here's your banker's close trade opportunity. This is about as picturesque and perfect as it comes. This little trade right here. It's just perfect. So now we just got to cheer him on. Cheer him on. Hopefully he keeps going. I think he'll get there just because, if it were to be a traditional head and shoulders, it would have to, come up a little more, I think. All right. Yeah, we're not even to that mid Bollinger Band on the 5-minute because that's typically how you want to take profits. And it's still right up in there, so that's perfect. We should be able to hit these. We really should. So we'll be patient. Don't take your profits early. Just be patient. Let the trade go where it needs to go. Also, I didn't get a chance to say this at the beginning. I noticed some new faces with us. We just want to welcome you here. We're really excited that you guys would take the chance and learn to trade with us. We've got some really unique and exciting things going on here. A lot of really awesome strategies. A lot of different things to help a lot of different folks with the different types of trading that you're involved in. Obviously, we have a lot of shorter term strategies. We have longer term swing trades, you name it. We got a lot of different things, which we'll talk about some more of those today. Yeah, I just want to welcome you here and excited that you guys would take the journey, and hope you stay a while. Hopefully we can get you profitable. If you are new, feel free to contact me. You guys, most of you have my number. If not, you can contact me on Telegram, or you can email me. Tell me what your goals are. Tell me what you're trying to accomplish, and let me see if I can help you cater a strategy or a system that is suited for you. We got people who trade only the COT report. That's our Wednesday night class. And it's a swing trade to longer term strategy. It's built for people who, don't have a lot of time to dedicate to the live markets like we're doing right now. But it's a great way to be able to take some trades on the weekends, start the trade at the beginning of the week and then hold the trades to the end of the week. And then when the weekend's out, you close and then you start again, right? That's a great little system. It's a little more passive, not as much involvement, which is great. And then obviously you got strategies like this. It's quite involved. You know, you're here for an hour a day looking for opportunities, scanning for opportunities, trying to make your money in an hour, right? And that's awesome. If you want to learn that, it can help you in that department. And then obviously the other thing that we really do is focus on those swing trades and overnight trades, which by the way, we'll update you on that too. They're looking good. That Euro Yen trade was awesome last night. It just shot up. We'll recap and look at that trade in just a moment. But yeah, anyway, guys, this is pulling back. It's fine. I mean, we're still profitable, but you know, it's just normal during this hour. For those of you that are new, you're going to see that in the banker's close hour, a lot of these trade setups are slow moving. They take a while to get to their targets. It's not as quick as we'd like it to be, but you know, it's good. Also, real quick side note that I just noticed here. I do like the fact that when it did come up here just a few minutes ago, it did actually breach this. Well, technically here, let me delete all this. This is a high right here, and the market broke above that, right? I guess technically it broke above that, just barely, nothing huge, but it is a clue, right? It is something to pay attention to, which is why I'm going to stand by my position to be long on this currency pair still. And not only that, that's just one of many things that we've already talked about. You know, even if this market pushed lower, you've got so much demand in these areas. So here's kind of how I view this trade for those of you that are curious. So either option one, this trade comes back up and it just hits all these targets. Okay, that's option one. That's kind of ideal, you know, just make your money and hit all your targets. Option two would be the market comes down and kind of hits some of this demand in this area and then ultimately finds its way back up and we make our money that way. Okay. And then the third option is it busts through all of this, it goes through this whole entire, I mean, that'd be really hard, but it goes through this entire demand zone and you lose and you actually hit your stop losses. Obviously it's on the table, it's an option, not as likely, but it is an option. So usually I find that the trade usually is a mix of the two. Like typically we don't just hit our targets immediately. Or, you know, and we typically don't have to go down too far to get our profits. I mean, on occasion it does go down pretty far and then it comes back up later in the morning. Sometimes even after the banker's close hour. We have that actually happens often, multiple times a week. We have that type of setup. We still have lots of time in today's webinar, so we've got 35 or 40 minutes to still get this back up here. But even if it pulls back, there's some really good buying zones down in here, even here. Basically, this whole thing is a good buying zone. So I'm feeling good about where we are. But yeah, so this is more shorter term. This is going to be more active trading, trading in front of the markets live. That kind of stuff is really fun to do. I love it. It's really exciting to me, especially when you can kind of read the markets and can kind of sense how things are going. Speaking of, actually, one little thing I just noticed too, let's see how this forms out, because this on the 1 minute chart, this could be a little miniature reverse head and shoulders depending on what happens. And if it does play out that way, then yeah, we could definitely hit these targets. Definitely hit those targets. This is kind of the area I'm hoping for. And I'm not asking too much from the market. I'm just saying, hey, come up here, swipe all of those and we'll be done. All right. So let's talk about some of our swing trades, right? So we've had some pretty awesome swing trades this weekend. You look at the Euro Yen. it shot up this morning like a ton. So this is a trade that we started on, I think, Wednesday last week or something like that. And we did a couple of things with this trade. So with this trade setup, we noticed a reverse head and shoulders back here on a smaller time frame. We noticed a break of this high right here. And then ultimately this market kind of just consolidated. It actually pulled back into this demand right here, if you can see it. It pulled into that demand last night. So it was actually down quite a bit last night and then ultimately shot up 100 plus pips this morning. And now we're on our way. And this, in my opinion, guys, is going to just continue to fly. Okay. This is a trade. Again, I started it on Wednesday. You don't want to miss this trade. I think a lot of people, it's really hard when you're trading to switch off the short-term mentality and turn on the longer-term to swing trade mentality. Because when you're short-term trading like the banker's close, this trade right here, obviously we're hoping to be in and out of this trade setup in an hour or two or three. Like that's the hope. These types of trades, though, they take days. They can take even weeks sometimes. I mean, I typically don't hold these trades longer than a week, I would say. But yeah, I mean, we had that, what was that? My biggest trade in January was my CAD yen position. Do you guys remember that one? It was like 2 weeks ago. Biggest trade of January for sure. Probably will be, I don't see these ones finishing out before the end of the month. And hitting their targets. But that CAD yen trade made like 15 grand, right? It was an awesome trade. But it took from like a Monday to Thursday, it took 4 days to play out. And when you're short-term trading, what happens a lot is you kind of get annoyed by those swing trades. You're kind of like, oh, this trade's taking too long, or hey, it's down right now, it's not working. And then a lot of people will close out their trades just in time for that trade to be just like amazing. And that's exactly with this trade. And I'm hoping that a lot of you did stay in this. If not, that's okay. It's not the end of the world because there's trades every single day. And it's also not too late to grab this setup right here. Like guys, I'm trying to go all the way out to here. So this is definitely a swing to longer term trade. So that's nearly a 400 pip target. The euro yen, that's actually more reasonable. That's actually not too far for the euro yen. Like that could definitely happen in a week or two. Oh yeah, for sure. 370 pips. I wouldn't put it past the euro yen to be able to get there in a week or two. But this is a great little trade. The analysis is just perfect. The way the price actions kind of lined up is perfect for a move to the upside. It's all there. It's all there. And last night was a really big help, going up 100 pips in our favor. So yeah, this is a good trade setup. I'm pretty excited about it. And then it's very similar, actually, real quick. If you guys go look at IG's client desk over here, their sentiment index, look at this. So I'm going to refresh their page here. I'm going to refresh. And then look at this. So the open interest today on the euro yen is increased by 21%. So what that means is the interest in terms of how many players are trading in this market right now has increased by 21%. So a lot of people are buying and selling. It doesn't necessarily mean just sellers. It doesn't necessarily mean just buyers. It's a combination of the two. The retail interest in this pair is the most out of anything else traded right now, the euro yen. And specifically, you can see how many short positions and long positions there are. Today, 26%, there's been a 26% increase in short positions and 11% increase in long positions. That's actually kind of rare to see. Well, not super rare, but it is kind of interesting to see that there's a lot of interest in shorting this as well as going long. Um, usually what you see is, if they want to go short, you'll see a decrease in long positions. But I think this could also be people like you and me who are good at trading. So it's not like all retail traders stink. Like there are some good retail traders, right? So it could be that a lot of us hopped into long positions, but yeah, the average trader is this 26% right here. They're the ones who are going to get screwed on this trade. They're going to get absolutely demolished over the next couple of days, maybe weeks. Like I was saying, it's a 400 pip trade. And look at the sentiment. So you go here, you can see 73% of retail traders are short right now on the euro yen and only 27% long. So you definitely know they're married to this trade and they're going to get in so much trouble. So anyway, and then it's the same thing with the Aussie yen. This is the other trade that we've been into, right? They did actually, this is a little bit concerning on the Aussie yen. I don't think it's the end of the world, but they did start increasing their long holdings on the Aussie yen and very small increase to the short side. So that is something I am paying attention to today and I will be monitoring because it is a little bit concerning. But if you notice here, there's still 67% short and 33% long. So a little bit concerning on the Aussie yen. But if you go take a look at it, as far as last I checked this morning, it was doing okay. Yeah, it's doing fine. So here's the trade. It actually pulled back last night into a perfect little demand zone. I wish, but I didn't. I wish I had picked up a few more trades down here because it pulled into some demand. But it's back up again. And this trade, I'm not going for as much. I'm going for from where it is now about 125 pips still. So that's the swing trade on the Aussie yen. And this one's pretty good, guys. Like, guys, a lot of good things happening here. So I like the price action analysis with this one even better than I like the euro yen. As far as price action goes, check this out. So you have, let me see if I can just draw these out. Yeah, so you have this low right here, right? That kind of starts off that original downtrend, comes back and retests, but it doesn't break that low. So that's an initial sign that you might be headed up. And then you have another low right here. This is still higher than the previous low. And each time it makes a high, we are getting highs that are higher than the previous high, right? And so that is a pretty strong signal. Ultimately, this is structure right here. There is structure. We broke it recently right here. And so that's why this market has not pulled back, right? No, in the past, every time it'd come up here, it'd get rejected. It would come up here, get rejected. Why has that not happened this time? Because it broke structure, right? And so now all these institutions are like, that's not coming back down. I don't think that's going to do that again. When you have all of this price action here and this break of structure that are all denoting the fact that this is trying to break even higher, which is why I am long on this trade and have built it. And not only that, you can confirm this. What are the retail traders doing? Retail traders are desperately short on this, although today was a little bit of a change in sentiment. I don't know if that's the end of the world from today's perspective, but it is something, like I said, that I am monitoring closely, as you guys know. So coming back over here, but I'm still holding this position long and it is profitable. I'm up like $800 on this trade right now. So I mean, ultimately, yeah, if this can get up to here, on the trade, I have 7 contracts on this. So, that's going to be like almost a $10,000 win if this thing goes all the way to there. But yeah, so I'm still monitoring it, but it looks pretty good. I mean, it is profitable right now, so you can't complain too much, but you got to monitor to see if things change. And then, like I said, Euro Yen is going to do the same thing, just to the other side. I have a feeling, because not just a feeling, this is pretty strong like evidence that not only is this going to come up here and retest this, it's going to absolutely blow through that structure, right? Here's why. Last time it was up in this area, what happened? On the hourly chart, pulled back, right? Same thing with the Aussie yen. Last time it was here, came up to here and pulled back, right? But this time it's come up to here and they're saying, hang on a second. We broke this high right here. We're forming higher highs and higher lows. Got a reverse head and shoulders down here. Retail traders are shorting this right now. Hang on. Let's stay up here. Let's hang out a while. So they're hanging out. And now we're thinking this might be going up to here. So that's kind of the similar slash same thing that's narrative that's going on right now. And so when this thing takes off, here's the thing that's crazy. And this is why I got to prepare you guys so you're ready. When this thing takes off, it's going to happen overnight. And it's going to happen without you seeing it, without the rest of the retail traders seeing it happen. It's going to blow them away and they're going to miss out on a huge trade. Because here's the thing, guys, about these trade setups. Consolidation is where the market is most of the time. Those expansion moves take this much time. They take hardly any time at all, but that's where the money is made, is during those expansionary movements. And so unless you're prepared and have the trade executed and ready to go beforehand, you are going to miss out. And it's going to suck because you're going to be like, dang, I remember when Steve said to buy this. I remember he said to hang on to this. And then you're going to be like, shoot, right? And so that's why I got to prepare you ahead of time to be ready for this kind of thing. So again, this one looks really good still. And not only does it look really good from a price action standpoint, but look what the trader averages are doing. Trader average is in big trouble, right? 26% increase in short positions just today on the euro yen. You better believe the banks want to take that money away from them, right? They're going to stop these guys out. Where do they have their stop losses? Where are they going to put their stop losses? Right above this resistance and right above this resistance. So you better believe this market's going to break above that and it's going to break above that. And in my opinion, I think there's a good chance it's going to go all the way up to this next supply area, which is up here. That may be a lot to ask, but I don't think it's too much to ask either. So I definitely think it's still worthwhile. Okay, let me just recap. Let me see how this is doing. Okay, so it just came down to here. I'm just going to add a trade or two on our Bankers Close trade real quick. And then just since we are navigating away and talking about our swing trades, again, I think right here looks like a really good buying area. So I'm going to have some buys right there and then right here probably. But let me go ahead and place some buy limits. So right here is where I want to hop in to some buy limits if it does pull back a little further, because this is a great area to buy if it pulls back into here. I don't think it will, but you got to be prepared and have that ready to go, because we're just I'm looking at other trade setups right now. Anyway, we'll let that continue to sit and do its thing. In fact, I'm going to pull this to my other screen so I can monitor it while I talk about some of this other stuff. But yeah, this is a monster trade, guys. Like this euro yen, absolutely monster trade. And again, if you missed out on the 100 pips last night, that's okay. There's, in my opinion, nearly 400 to go, right? And at the very least, each one of you needs to make 121 pips on this. This is absolutely, in my opinion, and again, just my opinion, that this is going to come up here and go another 120 pips and retest this resistance. But I think with what the buyers have built up in here, look at the accumulation in here. They wouldn't build this accumulation. This would not happen unless they had big plans. They're building a launch pad. This is an absolute launch pad for this. Okay. They wouldn't do that unless they had plans. Also, if it weren't going to happen, where are the sellers at? If they want to call the bluff on the buyers, why aren't they just getting so anxious and sending this lower? They're not, because they're becoming buyers too. They're concerned that this is going to pull back, or excuse me, they're concerned that this is going to go up. They don't know how much they can get on the short side of this, right? Look what happened last night on the shorter time frame. Or let me just zoom in on this higher time frame so you can kind of see it. Look at what happened last night. This market pulled back into here, into this little demand. You can see there's a little demand zone right here. Market pulled back into that. How quickly did that go back up? Moments. Just took a moment or two. That you got to read into this kind of stuff. You got to learn to spot this kind of thing. And it's okay. It'll take time. Like, you guys will learn it. But how long did that take? Nothing. The opportunity to enter last night was just barely, it wasn't even really there. It was so quick. It was over. It was there and over. It's just so quick, right? And I am kind of kicking myself that I didn't have a buy limit there. I'm not going to act like I did, because I didn't. And that's my bad, because that was a great trade. It's not, again, it's not over, but like just the overnight trade right there. Yeah, really amazing little overnight trade. I did not grab that, for the record. I'm just saying, you can see how awesome that is. And again, it's not done. I will, for the record too, I'm also putting my thumb on that. This is not done. Why would the buyers do this? And why would the average retail trader do this? You know, there's definitely more to go. If you're short on the euro yen right now, uh, get out. Get out. Go the other way. That's my opinion. Again, you guys can do what you want to do, but I mean, I used to be that trader. I used to be trader average, where I would just come in here and I'd see a market coming up like this on a, you come down to like a 3 or 5 minute chart, and I'd see a market come up like this in the day, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a crazy move. I gotta short this. No, 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 no. There's something bigger going on with this type of a trade. So anyway, that's my longer term trade. Well, that one, and then you have the Aussie yen. And then the other longer term trade that we have is that USD CAD short. This one I am a little bit down on right now. Little bit down on this one. And this one, I'm going for quite a few pips on this guy. Like, I guess it's 133 pips. But I am short on this guy, and there's a couple of reasons for this. Again, if you were to go check out IG and look at, where's the retail trader on the USD CAD, you can see here they are. Oh, this is kind of flipped quite a bit. So this is something I need to keep an eye on. So they've increased their short positions and decreased their long positions, which is something to just keep an eye on. Yeah, it's not as good as it was on Friday. This one's a little bit more concerning than even the Aussie yen. I think the Aussie yen and Euro yen are looking really good. This one is a little concerning. I'm down on this one. Let's see, $600 on this trade. So I need to decide, if I want to stay in this one or not. But let's go back to the analysis here. So here's why I took this trade, as a little refresher. And I think it still has pretty good merit and probably will continue to work out. We just maybe we need to decide where the stop loss goes a little bit better, if we're going to stay in it, or if we're not going to stay in it, we just take the loss early type of thing. But I think it still looks good. First of all, let's start back here. So back here is where the analysis kind of starts. You have a head and shoulders pattern back here. That's kind of what led to this market's continued downfall recently, and it's pulled back into a lot of demand, and naturally you'd see the market kind of pull up like it has here, but look how weak and anemic these pull-ups have been. Like, it's just come up and immediately just been slashed. It comes up and gets slashed, comes up, slashed, right? Inside of the demand, right? That is a concerning sign if you're a buyer. Hey, we're coming up and it just gets pulled back so quickly, right? So that's why I've been short on this. Well, that's one of the reasons. And then you come over here a little closer. This is we talked about this. This is a head and shoulders pattern, right? And And so you have this one back here, this one over here, and they're all denoting that this market wants to continue lower. We actually had a break of structure just recently. It broke this little resistance or this support level and started going down. Now it's come up a little bit since then. So I'm down slightly on this trade. Now, how far is this going to go? In my opinion, it's going to break past this area and come right here. Why do I think it's going to come and stop right here? If you come back over here, you can see that this was the last demand zone before a really beautiful break in structure, right? I know I say that word a lot and it probably annoys a lot of you, but guys, that's what trading's all about. If it breaks a resistance or support zone that was pretty well established, now you're looking for buys. Now you're looking for sells, right? So back here, you would have been looking for buys because it broke this. So you're looking for buy opportunities until structure breaks. And so structure broke right here, right? That nice little support broke that. Now you're looking for sell opportunities, right? And that's just the market every day in, day out. So since this is demand right here, this is where demand is, this purple area. Absolutely. So if this market's going to pull back, it's probably going to pull back into there. Plus, where do you think most people have their stop losses on their buys? Probably right here, right? So that's why I'm targeting that area. That's exactly why I'm going there. And a lot of people are like, why don't you target right at support? Well, it's because support's not really where the demand is. The demand is right here in this purple area. That's why I've targeted this, not this. Okay. A lot of times we associate supply and demand as the same thing as support and resistance. They are a little different, but they're often associated with each other and they go hand in glove. Okay. So now what do we do with this trade? So I don't think my stop's right there. I think my stop loss on this trade, let me check on my other account real quick. Where do I have my stop loss? Okay, so my stop loss on this trade is above this shoulder right here. So it's actually quite a bit bigger than that. I have it right there. So I'm still really far away from that. That's where my stop is up there. So this is the trade I have currently, which is not the most pretty reward to risk ratio. Like, what are we at? 1.34 to 1. It's not the prettiest reward to risk ratio you've ever seen. But it's also not terrible. So, again, where are we going with this trade? How far is this going to go? Again, I think it could go there, but is it even worth still staying in? At the moment, I still think so. Let's actually talk about why I still look forward to this trade opportunity. Here's a lower time frame. Okay. This was a break in a little structure right here. And then what caused it? Whatever the market did right here is supply, because whatever they did here is what caused the break, right? That's the mechanism that created the break. And so what has the market done? It's come right up to that purple area where supply is, and it's basically been stuck, right? Why is it stuck there? Because it's got a wall to go through. This is the wall right here, because that's the thing that created the break, right? You can see it's support, right? It used to be support here and then resistance here, resistance here. So that's support resistance, right? That's not supply and demand, this line, that's support resistance. The thing that broke support resistance was whatever orders they put in right here. Whatever orders they put in here is what caused this. And that's, again, why the market struggled to break past this area, because there's so much supply up there, right? Hope that makes sense. I hope that's kind of resonating with some of you. If not, it's fine. We'll continue to talk about it. Now, are there other areas where this could go? So if it finally breaks through that, where's it going to go next before we might get some help? Well, you have to go back and identify old support and resistance to find that. And it sure does look like there's quite a bit of like support right here. You can see support, resistance, resistance, support, resistance, resistance here, support, resistance, right? So now you got to identify, okay, well, what is the thing that caused the market to break? And it's really, if you want to break it down, it's really kind of whatever they did here, but I'm gonna just include all of that right there. So that is also supply. So for me, I do feel good about staying in this trade up until this supply. If it goes beyond that, oh man, I couldn't justify staying in it at that point. I don't think I could at that point, but this is where, if the market wants to go up, this is where it's going to run into trouble again, and then you'll probably see this thing just get crushed. Why is that? Again, go back and look at previous price action on the higher time frame. Everything's denoting a continuation lower. So we already have sell. We even had a break of structure right here. Look at this. Look at how strong that is on the hourly. That is beautiful, right? So what broke that? Oh, actually, you know what? I think we got this. Look at this. See, this is beautiful. See how beautiful that support is? And then somebody just came in here and broke it, right? So who caused it? Who caused that break? Probably whatever orders were pumped up in this area. And that's right where our purple. So that's, and honestly, I might actually, no, I am going to. I'm going to put another entry. I'll probably put another trade right there. So here's what I'll do, guys, to get a better reward to risk ratio. I'm going to enter a trade there. Probably use the same stop. But this now gives me an opportunity to use a sell limit. This is going to be ideal because now, there we go, because that's going to give me my 3.72, so almost 4-to-1 reward to risk ratio. I like that. So I think I'm going to do that. I'm still going to keep an eye on the sentiment, but again, as far as price action goes, guys, this is about as bearish as they come. Okay. Bearish, bearish, bearish. Everything is break of structure. So you got to think sell. There's nothing here that would make you think buys. There is, other than you're kind of running into some demand over here, but that's it. Yeah, that's it. But everything else is denoting sells. You know, every time this market comes up, it gets crushed. Every time it gets crushed. So I feel like those clues matter more and have more relevance than, say, I think those clues have more relevance than even retail sentiment on a day-to-day basis, right? So for me, again, I think we could actually take, this could actually be a huge trade, almost 4-to-1. That might be a better re-entry into this trade. I'm going to still stay in the one I have. I hate taking losses, especially when I think the trade is still pretty good. But yeah, breaking this down, we broke it down on a higher time frame, but coming to the lower time frame on the USD CAD, let's come back over here. I think we nailed this analysis, guys. We absolutely nailed this because you have beautiful structure point, right? The whole world can see that, right? Beautiful. What caused this to break? You could argue that maybe some of this caused it. I think if you want to go back to where it really began, I think it's this. I think that's where it really started. Like this thing, and maybe all the way up to that high, we'll say. This whole thing is what caused it. It kind of slipped away. It slipped away into its bearish mode from right here. So if the market, if the market were to ever come back and retest that, if it were to come up and retest this, I think you'd find all sorts of objections, you know? So that's what I'm going to say. So this trade may worsen for a little bit. It may come up to here. That's another 30 pips or so. But then again, I'm going to add another trade to that short. Yeah, this will be a legendary trade if we can make this work. I really think it'll be a legendary trade. But again, you always got to ask yourself, okay, you know, are we breaking structure down or breaking structure up? Oh, obviously down. So you're looking for sells. So that's where the next best sell trade's going to be, is right there. Anyway, so that's what I'm looking at, guys. So I really think there's a lot of money to be made this week. Buying the Aussie yen, buying the Euro yen, and shorting the USD CAD. Those are my three picks, right? In terms of analysis and looking at retail sentiment, these are my picks. All right. And then I mentioned this morning, guys, I sent out the COT report trades. So for those of you that trade the COT report, here it is. These are the top trades to take this week. Pound franc long, pound CAD long, pound Aussie long, Euro franc long, Euro CAD long, and Euro Aussie long. Those are your top 6 for those of you that trade the COT report. And for those of you interested in the COT report, our next webinar will be this Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. Okay, got quick things that I got to grab some more trades over here on the Euro franc before we wrap up. It looks like it just pulled into some more demand. I need these orders down here so that when it pulls back up, I can make some money on the turnaround. So that's kind of what I do. I just grabbed a couple of orders right there. And then I still have these ones down here. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to close out in the webinar. I was pretty close. We were pretty close to closing out right here. We were pretty close. But we should be able to close out here in the next couple of hours here. So definitely pay attention to Telegram. I'll let you know when I'm going to close these out. I'm still hanging on to these targets. This is still my goal, is to get to there. So yeah, just hang on until we get to that point. Pull this. Actually, I'm going to leave that one. And let me pull these guys in. Okay, and last reminder, when you're trading, by the way, guys, I made this last night. I finished this last night. I was promising you guys I'd make this. Here is the banker's close trade / retirement trade, step by step. For those of you that want this step by step, I can actually put this in the chat box. I think I can upload attachments. So it's all the best practices, when to buy and when to sell, when to take profit, when to get out for a loss. All of that is in here, and I just finished this last night. So let me go ahead and download this, and I will put this in the chat box. Let me see. Let's see. Can I just add a file from my computer? Downloads. Here it is. Okay, there it is. Should be in the chat box, guys. For those of you that want the retirement trade PDF, you can just download it right there in the chat box. All right, guys, when you are speaking of these rules, when you have to leave a banker's close trade, if you don't close out in the webinar, this is what you got to do for the stop loss, right? You got to use a 1/4 of the average daily range, and you got to go to MATAF to find out what this is. So this is what enables you to walk away from the trade. If you've got other things you got to do during the day, but you still have some trades on, this is my recommendation on how you manage the trade. So if we're trading the Euro franc, I just type in Euro franc and then I pull it up. It takes a second to load. And then I find the biggest day of the week, biggest average daily range of the week, which is Wednesday, and that's 68.3 pips. And so what I do is I take my calculator and I go, okay, I got 68.3, and I divide that by 4, and I use 1/4 of the average daily range as my stop loss for the rest of the day. So that's 17 pips, and that will keep me from taking some really significant losses. So what I'll do is I'll just go from the current price of the market and I'll go down 17 pips, which is perfect because that's just below a lot of this demand. So the trade should work out before it hits that. If it doesn't, then yeah, I don't want to be in this trade any longer. So about here, 1.00147, just below that. Yeah, like right here would be a great stop loss. And this, it would stink if you hit them, yes, but it's necessary because you don't want to take a loss too big if it happens. But I think this is perfect. We should get the move we need way before that hits. Anyway, I got to wrap up, guys, but I'm going to put all those stops there and finish up later. But that's the trade that we're going to finish off with, and you guys will get an update from me on Telegram in the next couple of hours on how this plays out. So, all right, guys, really appreciate your attendance today. Thanks for coming, and we'll catch you in the next webinar.